Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Orange Crushing It. My name is Frank Clark. I'm the CEO of the Mr. Orange and your host for the show today. And again, what is the Orange Energy all about? Well, it's about being driven and passionate and just wanting to have zest for life, that internal desire that we all have to be successful, to be creative, to have like that adrenaline junkie, overachiever, want to win. We know we all have it. That's called the energy of Orange. And I am Mr. Orange. And today I have an awesome guest with me, somebody that I've met a few years back at a Tony Robbins event, and she's been in different programs with me. Her name is Alexia Melocchi. She's an educator, an international consultant, an entrepreneur. She's prolific producer with TV and movies, a marketer, a journalist, a brand ambassador. I mean, look at all these accolades for this woman. International productions all over the world. There's a studio, and she's in Beverly Hills. It's called the Little Studio Film. She's a partner in that business. She's produced and sold award-winning movies, documentaries, and shorts for over 20 years. She's been to all the major film festivals, anywhere from Cannes to Venice. She has a beautiful, amazing podcast called The Heart of Show Business. She also has a thing that she does with it's Hungry Fish Media Ministry, which is a Christian media boot camp to help young students, give them the opportunity and potential knowledge about filmmaking. I mean, she's amazing. She's fluent in 5 languages. I'm hoping Boston is one of them. I can't even barely get through the English language myself. This is a podcast, so you really can't see her. But if Kate Upton has a twin sister, this is Alexia. She's beautiful, she's gorgeous, and she's amazing and fun. Alexia, welcome to Orange Crushing It.
Oh my goodness. I have to say, because when I do my podcast, I do the intros on other people and I see them tear up a little bit because, we all want to put everybody on a pedestal and make them look good. Dang, you crushed it. I'm almost tearing up a little myself now. I'm going, oh my God, I've accomplished so much. Well, good
Look
for
at
me.
you, huh? Yeah, you're not too bad there, girl. Yeah,
I'm
you
not
got it right.
too bad. That's so awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to have the conversation. I mean, when you asked me to come on board, first of all, like who wouldn't want to be part of Mr. Orange's life? It's like something that everybody has to get your energy and feel it. So I'm blessed and honored that you're having me on your show.
Well, thank you, thank you. I appreciate the accolades. Anytime anybody wants to give me a plug, especially a beautiful woman, I will always take that. So Alexia, you were born in Italy. You came here to the States. You're obviously well entrenched in the movie industry and the business. A little backstory. How'd you get started? How did you okay, I want to be on this side of the camera versus in the movie? Or maybe you were an actress at one point. I don't know. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved in this and said, this is really what I want to do.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that whenever we're kids, I think that whatever we put down as far as one of our dreams, and we have it at a young age, sometimes we forget about it, but we actually, most of the time, if we pay attention to that dream, we can make it happen for ourselves and we can make it come true. I remember when I was not going into a long story, but when I was 14 years old, I had no idea what Hollywood looked like. I had no idea what Los Angeles, even as a city, looked like. And I was watching shows like Happy Days. I was watching Dallas and Dynasty and Chips, go figure. And all of a sudden, I wrote down in my diary, I still have it to this day, at the age of 14, in one page was like, biggest dream to go to America forever. And I even wrote it in English, which is so bizarre. I had never seen California. They're like, and here I am. My mother found, a wonderful American man when she got divorced. And she's like, let's pack it up. Let's go to America. And it happened to be Los Angeles of all places. So I actually got to have my dream of going to prom, the cap and gown, everything that I saw in Happy Days that I wanted to literally live, right. I got to do it. So to me, it's really the power of mindset, right?
Well,
it was incredible. So that's how I got here, me, an Italian immigrant. I didn't get on a boat. I didn't go through Ellis Island, but I actually got here because I put something down on paper and I made it happen for myself. Did I choose to go into the business? Not really. It was, again, handed to me a little bit. You have to follow the signs, as they say. I mean, basically, I was asked to be, I was in high school. I was a senior in high school, and I was asked to be a translator for an Italian distributor who basically somebody who buys movies to release in Italy. He spoke nothing of English. He couldn't even understand a word. So they said to me, do you want to make some extra money? And I'm like, yes, I want some shopping money so I can go to Greece this summer and celebrate being a senior. So I ended up being his interpreter, and he took me to this thing called the American Film Market, and I had to go watch movies with him, and I had to listen to him talking in Italian and saying, voglio questo, like I want to buy this, and then I had to do the deals for him, like no clue, but I winged it, right? Being a total perfectionist and striving for the best. And then he asked me to represent him. He like literally said, you're so good at it. Why don't I give you money every month so that you can keep on looking for movies for me? And that's how it started. I met other people there. I met some Greeks. They asked me to do the same, help us buy American movies. And, there was no internet back then. So, I mean, they needed me, really. They couldn't find information, even if it hit them in the head. So they needed me. And I had the cultural thing. So that's really how I got thrown into the business. And a year and a half later, I start my own company with my mom. We're being financed by the same people who basically hired us to buy movies for them. And like, why don't you just pick up a bunch of American movies and sell them to us? Because you got buyers. And I'm like, okay. And so with no funding, nothing, zero zilch, my mother and I started selling American movies to all these big famous festivals that you mentioned about. And that's kind of like how everything started. And I think it was about 20 years old that I made my first $1 million, which is not too bad. So there you go.
That's extremely good. $1 million at 20 years old. And you're starting it like as a senior in high school.
Yeah. Right? Didn't even go to college. I went to the school of life.
We got PhDs in street smarts, right, Alexia?
Yes, exactly. If you want to learn, you don't need school to learn, honestly. There's people who get all these degrees, as you know, not to say anything against people who get super fancy degrees, but so many of them, once they get them, they forget all the education that you had. I feel that, and I'm sure you can relate, because you're probably that one guy like that too. It's all about wanting to learn and being street smart.
Yeah, I mean, I got an education in high school. My high school English teacher, who was outside in the parking lot smoking weed, and he's like, "Don't tell anybody I'm doing this." Right? I see him out there, and he pulls me aside and he goes, "You like going to school?" I go, "Not really." My mother and father said, "You got to be honor roll. You got to be," and I said, "Not really. I just can't wait to get out of here and start my own company, right? Start my own thing." And he said, "You know what the truth of school is?" He goes, "The A students never leave. They always believe they got to learn more. They're never satisfied. So they never, ever leave school. And the B students, that's, top of the class still, but they want to get out. They're kind of in between. They don't want to stay in school all the time. They don't necessarily have big dreamers. They're achievers. They want to get stuff done. The C students are like, what's the minimum I got to do to get out of here?" Right? And so he told me, he said, the A students teach the B students how to work for the C students. I was like, oh, really? No offense to any of you A or B students out there right now, but us C students, right, Alexia, we just like, let's get going. Let's get something going, man,
Oh my gosh, it's so true. And one of the things that I remember when I was in high school is that I was actually pretty damn good. I was pretty smart, but then it really ended up that I was foreign language, English was not even my first language. And I actually did better than some American kids, And I think it's because I really was hungry and I wanted to prove myself. When you're an immigrant, you want to like belong and you want to kind of like, and what I like about America, the difference with Italy, say back in the day, and America is in America is almost made to always encourage you to be your greatest, right? Most of the time, even in school back then. In Italy, you can be an A-list student and they're going to go, oh, well, even if you're an A, I'm going to give you a B minus because you don't really deserve it. And if I give you an A, that means that you're going to rest on your laurels and you're not going to do anything. You're never going to improve. Well, when I was in high school here, it's like, oh, you want to go to acting school? Sure, do it. You want to learn how to type? Great. You want to do whatever. who does that? Like in an American school, we don't have that in Italy. Like really, you can be an actor while going to high school or learn how to do, you know, woodwork and fixing cars in high school. That's crazy. But I loved it, Frank. I loved it. It was so great.
And you
Best
still love
years
it.
ever.
I can tell you still love it. You still have a passion for learning. I mean, that's how I know you, is through learning. That's how I know you is, you know, both of you and I are out there trying to improve our lives, trying to improve the quality of the products we give to people, the message we give to people. I think we're both, you know, at a later stage in our life where it's not necessarily so much about us, but it's definitely more about how many people can we influence? Who can we inspire? Who can we help? I know you're very much that kind of person, right? Does
Yeah.
that embody you, Alexia?
It totally does. But I have to say, I'm a little bit jealous of you sometime because I tend to be a super diplomat. You know, I have to be there with all the artists and I have to be sensitive because artists are sensitive creatures, right? So I have to try sometimes to not tell it like it is. And one of the things that I loved about you when you and I were in our masterminds together and we had a lot of conversations, is like, you're like a no BS guy. It's like if somebody's gonna go with you and you wanna like get some type of advice, you're gonna tell it like it is. You're not there to be going, oh, poor me, you know, whatever. You're like, okay, get your ass out of that chair and do something, which I love. I love, you know, and it's something that I'm a little jealous of because I can't really do it all the time.
I'm sure you can. You just say it in Italian or Greek and they don't understand, right? So you can still say get off your ass.
Exactly. I can cuss in Italian and then I'm just going,
Yeah,
would you like some tea? You know, go
exactly.
with it.
Anything you say in Italian sounds beautiful anyways, right? So it doesn't really matter. And you know, maybe I'm direct because that's how we are up in the Northeast. You know, Boston, New York, the Chicago, Philly, that whole sector of the country or the world. You know, we get up early and we get after it really early, and we tell it how it is. And it's almost to a fault. You know, if you date a girl from Boston and you walk up to her and go, "Hey, how's this shirt look?" And she'll be like, "Well, it looks better on the hanger. I don't think it looks so good on you." You know?
Oh my God.
Like, if you don't want to know the truth, don't ask a Boston woman about how you look. Think I'm gaining a little weight, honey? No, I think you gain a lot of weight. Skippy.
That's too funny. Well, one other thing though that we noticed saying, talking about Boston, as you know, we have a lot of famous actors in Hollywood who are from Boston.
Of course.
And and
Marky Mark,
so
right?
well,
You
well,
got
yes,
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, and we, got Matt Damon up there.
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
So,
Boston breeds the good stuff.
well, we bring different stuff anyways, right? The Departed. Bring that stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm biased. I love watching The Town, and I love watching The Departed, and any movie that's based, or TV show that's based here in New England. You know, Ray Donovan on Showtime now, a great show, right? All the Boston boys. I love that. A question for you. I think everybody in deep down, right? We all relate, and the reason that acting is so amazing, and the reason probably that entertainers are paid so much, is because us as the viewers can try to see ourselves in the role that they're playing, right? The person who's the actor or the actress is playing a hero at some level, right? Even if they're a demon or even if they're a villain, we see ourselves in that person, which is why we relate with them, which is why we'll pay money to continually see them, and we'll pay all kinds of money, athletes, all of this, right? We fantasize a little bit inside ourselves, seeing themselves in that role. And I'm like, I'm not a young guy, but I'm sure not an old guy either. I mean, I'm planning on living to be 150, and I just turned 60 last year. You know, and I want to act. How would somebody, like, in this chapter of your life, 40, 50, 60, 70, right? How would somebody get involved in movies and production, and what kind of person would you be looking for to go, that's the look I want? That person, that she or she has that it factor. I got to cast that person.
Wow. Well, I preface that there is a little bit of a myth that needs to be debunked because I feel that people think that it's really producers that they make the decisions on casting and who gets to be in what show. Most of the time that happens by the decision of the casting director and primarily the director, because the director is basically the architect of a movie or TV show. He has a very, very clear idea as to how he sees certain characters in his head, what they're going to be physically look like, what are they going to be their mannerism. And his best work is going to come out when he gets actors or actresses that he has seen in his head first. And so I feel that unfortunately the producer's job is not as controlled as far as the casting is concerned. I mean, we're more the people who are picking the material, like the scripts or the storytelling that we feel is worth putting into a screen or into a TV series. But then, and then we're the one who are chasing the money, again, talking about the overachievers, right? So we're the ones going to be knocking the doors and trying to convince people to write us checks so that we can see the show done. So we're a little bit more of I would say, like in an equivalent, like the Wall Street guy who is going after and trying to sign accounts and everything. Well, the director is the artist, and they're going to be choosing people like yourself. Now, the good news, as you and I talked about this earlier on offline, is that now the field is wide open. Before it used to be, Alessio or Harrison Ford or Brad Pitt or Kevin Costner, we're not going to give you a movie role or a TV role. Now people are looking for personality, they're looking for authenticity, they're looking for reality, and they're discovering talent in the weirdest places like YouTube and Instagram and any of the social media, Facebook. They might be looking at you, Frank, doing one of your amazing lives that I love so much, and they'll be going, oh my God, this guy has the most amazing accent, he's funny as hell. Let me contact him and see if he would like to be in some independent film. That's really how it's done. I mean, unless you are, of course, you need the money. Of course, you're going to need the star power to get the money, sadly. I mean, that's the truth. They need to have the A-list actor for an investor to write them a check so that they can get the movie going. But as far as all the other parts, it's wide open. So somebody starting later, they have as many chances as the 20-year-old. Actually, they have more chances because there's so many 20-year-old, 18-year-olds who are like on Instagram, the next Kardashians, the next this and that they think they're gonna get cast because, they look good on camera. But people want real. People want real right now. I mean, you and I spoke about, the Ray Donovan series and Ozark and all of those. I mean, this is grit. And people need interesting faces and personalities. They don't need somebody who's got like silicone lips or, the guy who's like looking, whatever. So
I'm glad you just told me because I had a silicone lip injection process scheduled for tomorrow. I'm going to cancel that now.
Cancel the Botox too while you're at it. You don't need it. You don't need it.
That's why I have facial hair. It covers all that silicone lips that I got going on.
That's funny. Yeah.
One thing you mentioned, and I think this is really cool, especially in the pandemic that's going on right now, nobody's working. I can imagine with coronavirus and this whole social distancing and having to wear masks. I mean, the TV industry and the movie industry is pretty much shut down, right? I mean, it can't film anything new, can't be around anything new. So you, as somebody that's in the business of trying to get people going in this space, how have you been able to survive and how have you been able to thrive? I'm sure you're not just surviving. I'm sure you're excelling and exponentially. How do you thrive in your industry specifically during this pandemic?
Well, I think it has to do with mindset, right? And so we all have to be able to adapt. As you and I recently, I think I just recently heard a Tony Robbins thing, that he did live on a YouTube, and he was saying, you never really want to be in just one business. You want to be in as many businesses as you can. Because if you're just thinking, producing a movie the traditional way, this is my
Oh,
So both you and I, we started thinking outside the box, right?
you just
And
cut off a little bit, Alexia.
okay, let me re-say it. So
Yeah,
okay,
basically,
okay,
you could just do that sentence over again of.
yeah. So basically what I was saying is everything is about pivoting right now. if you're thinking that you're going to be able to just make a living out of what you know best without thinking how to diversify, you might as well shoot yourself in the foot, because right now it's all about pivoting, expanding, and thinking outside of the box. So other people got depressed. They said, oh, my movie can't be made, so I'm just going to sit there and do nothing. I have never been more busy during this quarantine thing than I've ever been, even when I was out of quarantine. I mean, both you and I launched a podcast,
Right.
while being stuck at home. And all of a sudden I started taking classes on YouTube and learning how to like work the YouTube medium, because you can actually today get eyeballs on who you are and what you want to say on your own storytelling by being really, really well versed with the mediums of the YouTube, the Facebook, the StreamYards, the Instagram, and whatever. So I literally did a deep dive on all that. And I'm like, you know what? Screw that. Apple's not giving me a green light on my movie, or Warner Brothers not going to give me the money so I can make my movie. I'm going to create my own content, and keep it going. And then, of course, once things get back to normal, hopefully I'll be able to make my big movies and my big TV shows. But in the meantime, I can't sit still, as I'm sure you can't either.
No,
Or no.
I mean, YouTube has become the cinema, right? I mean, if we're going to stay at home, Netflix and YouTube and social media, Instagram stories, Facebook stories, that's what people are watching.
Yep.
So, if you're in that space, like you and I are, we're branding ourselves in the social media space, but also, hopefully in a much bigger scheme, right? Or not scheme, but a much bigger plan. Obviously, get good at YouTube because people will watch you, right? And if they're entertained, they'll just keep watching you, like Justin Bieber, right? Or, I mean, plenty of stars who literally their entire career started by being a phenom on social media or YouTube, right?
Yeah, literally. I mean, Billie Eilish was a YouTuber. Justin Bieber was a YouTuber. Issa Rae, who has a show on Netflix, was a YouTuber. As long as you get eyeballs on who you are. And you know what? This is a great opportunity because the internet is your stage right now. You don't even have to go do a theater and say, hey, I'm just going to like do some theater as an actor. You can just put yourself on stage and you have your own lights and you can do anything you want. And agencies right now who are representing big stars, all they do sometimes is they have people who scour the internet looking for fresh voices and fresh talent. That's why there is the influencers who don't even know how to act, and then they're given millions of dollars to make a movie because they know they're going to bring the brands. Events now are being done on the virtual stage. I mean, you as a coach could be starting a virtual event, and you could be talking about business and entrepreneurship, and you could do it from the comfort of your home. So this is a very exciting time, I think. I refuse to let this get me. I refuse.
Well, that's all mindset, right? You either get to or have to. I have to stay home. I have to not work. I have to stay in this pandemic. I have to bitch. I have to complain. Or I get to spend time with my kids. I get to learn something new. I get to change my destiny. I get to start a new company. Total mindset shift, one word different. That's it. And the trajectory is exponentially in the opposite direction, right?
Yeah, completely. And as you know, one of my slogans also when it comes to the entertainment business is emotion and entertainment are closely connected. And I believe that. There is a reason why, I mean, heck, I mean, I did a Facebook Live one time in December and I had no idea what was going to happen. I saw somebody surrender a dog and I did a live saying, screw it, I don't care if they see me cry. And I'm like, what are people going to think of me? I could not even think like that in that moment because I wanted to save the dog. And within 24 hours, I had like, I don't know how many thousands of views, and the dog got saved after 24 hours. So I'm thinking, look at the impact that if we show up as who we are in all our splendor, as they say, and we do not give an F about what people think, look at what you can do. I mean, we have a bigger mission in life right now than just sit and mope and going, oh my God, there is a pandemic, there is COVID, there is, the racial injustice. Of course there is. We're not going to deny that. There's exciting things that are happening in terms of the changes of our world. But if we sit by the sidelines and do nothing and wait for someone to hand us something, you can wait for a long time, my friend, right?
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Nope. Like there's a lot of events that are going on. And if the differentiator between the people that excel, like yourself, and those that don't is the meaning they want to attach to these events. You want to attach a meaning that's, oh, I'm debilitated, I'm crippled, I'm down, I'm persecuted, I'm racially biased, I'm whatever you want to say. That's one directive. And the other directive could be the meaning I'm going to put to this is my moment to shine. This is my moment to change. This is my moment to influence. This is my moment to grow. It's all in how you want to spin it, right?
Yes. And we never know. Sometimes we get hit by personal challenges, and you and I had these discussions. And even when something happens in your personal life that goes astray, like my divorce, for example, I'm not going to lie. I went into a depression. I mean, I was literally depressed for 4 months. I mean, I was basically on my couch crying and going, oh my God, nobody loves me. Like everybody loves me outside, but really nobody loves me. And then I said, wait a minute, what are you doing to yourself? You're here to lead. You're here to give your light to people. And does that really matter what one single person in I don't know how many billions of people, whether they still love you, they don't love you, are we that attached to another person's opinion of you? And so finally I snapped out of it, just like in Moonstruck, when she like slaps
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage, remember? That
Oh
he says,
yeah.
I lost my arm. I lost my wife. Remember? He
Yep.
says,
Oh,
you
yeah.
have no idea what pain is. And she's like, oh, bam. And she gives him a slap. And says, snap out of it.
Oh, yeah. La
We,
Luna. La Luna.
yeah, that would be something you, Frank, do to somebody. It's like
Oh,
slap them,
I wouldn't
snap
slap
out
him.
of it.
I'd be the guy getting slapped. That's a for sure.
It
I'd be
was,
Nicolas Cage in that event. Sorry.
oh my, you would be that, right?
I would be. Yeah, I'd probably be flirting with Cher and she'd be like, nah, nah, nah.
But see, that's the magic of movies. And that's why I love doing what I do, because I can literally dig myself out of a hole by watching a movie that somehow is going to make me think, is going to give me a new perception of what life is. And that's the thing. I think in movies. So when I was down, literally that's what I thought about, Moonstruck. And I literally visualized somebody coming and slapping me in the face and saying, snap out of it. And I did. And you know what? I never looked back. And you and I had this discussion. I never look back, and look at where we are right now.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, divorce sucks. I don't care how you spin it. I don't care how it works, especially when you've been with somebody for a long time. And you and I got divorced 2 years ago. Was quite shocked by it, but it happens, right? That's the event. Okay. The event is getting divorced. It sucks. But the meaning I'm going to put to it, the meaning you're going to put to it can be, oh, nobody loves me. Oh, I'm, such a victim. Right? And some people do that. I did that for a little while. It's called grieving, and so you got to accept a little part of grieving. That's part of the process, right? You go from the sadness to the pissed off, to the sadness, to the more pissed off, even more pissed off. And then you finally go, you know what? You hit resolve. You go, all right, shit, it's time to move on. It's time to get what we know we're really good at. We teach it, right? So let's act on what we teach. Alexia, you are an amazing, amazing teacher. You're amazing. Real quick, tell me what the heart of the show business, tell me a little bit about your podcast.
So I created the Heart of the Show Business exactly because I feel that show business has a lot more heart than what we are led to believe. And I really wanted to educate, uplift, and inspire those that have this shroud of mystery about how Hollywood truly works. So I wanted to give them the opportunity to listen to some filmmakers, actors, directors, producers, singers, it doesn't matter as long as it's show business. I wanted them to hear the journeys, to know that there is humans behind the artists, and so that they can relate to it and feel it and saying, if they did it, then I can possibly do that too, whether I choose to be in show business or it's something else. So it really was done for that purpose. And I felt that it was needed in today's world. And that's kind of like how I created, just like how you created your Orange Crushing It. I actually have a question for you. I hate to like swap, but I have an important question for you here.
Okay.
Before we go off. But do you find it that because you are this alpha male, overachiever, I'm sort of like this alpha female overachiever, that people automatically think that when you're going through a hardship, whether it's on a personal level or whatever level, they never really ask you how you're doing because they think you're going to get over it so quick. They're like, I don't even need to ask them. They're super strong. Is there like a little bit of a thing going on in your life like that? Because I'm
Oh,
curious.
that's a great question. And you know what? You're right. Um, that happens. It happened in my family. I'm like, why isn't anybody asking me how I feel? This sucks. And I would ask them that, and they'd say, well, you know how to get through this. I mean, look, you've done all these 27 years of personal development. You know how to. We don't have to worry about you. And I'm a Leo too, right? So on top of being an overachiever and this whole orange energy, I'm a Leo. So, and Leos are supposed to be all this outgoing, gregarious, charismatic, strong, courageous. But you know what? Deep down, we're sensitive. We're very sensitive people. And I think you and I have, yes, a good strong dose of male energy, that get it done, that orange energy, that make it happen kind of mentality. But you know what? I think the both of us are still that sensitive flower too. Hey, I could use a hug. You know what I mean? I could. I don't mind a little bit of love and attention right now. Yeah, not things aren't going really great right now. I could certainly use some company. You know.
Uh,
But you're right.
yeah.
This boils down to one other thing too. I think it is. They say you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with, right? Jim Rohn coined that. You're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. So if the people I hang out with, right, are not doing quite as well as me, they're not as advanced, they're not as progressed. Those are the people that might not even ask how you doing because they always think you got it going on. But if the 5 people I hang out with the most are overachievers and they're crushing it and everything else, and they see that I'm falling apart, those might be more the people that say, hey, are you doing all right? Because you know what? I see you as a pretty aggressive, go-getting kind of person, and you're not doing that now. So I kind of look at it and go, what's my sphere of influence? Who are the people I'm really hanging out with? Because in that whole theory of, the 5 people, on somebody's list, you're at the bottom of their list. On somebody else's list, you're at the top of their list. Some people you're in the middle of their list, right? Where do you stack up against the people you have respect for and the people that matter? I can honestly say that, I know you live on the other side of the country as me, but if you lived closer, you'd be somebody that I hang out with because you're somebody that just has great energy, and you'd be you're one of those 5 people that people should emulate and want to be around. I'm just saying, because you've got a lot of cool things going for you, and you got a great attitude.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I'll be coming to Florida at some point. I mean, I'm not going to Europe because I can't go to Europe. So I have so many friends in Florida, literally between Tampa and Miami. As soon as the heat goes away, I might just like hop on a plane and then I'll take you up on that. We're going to have a little pina colada or margaritas or something on the beach.
Absolutely. And you can cast the orange energy into a next Boston mob movie. I don't know, something.
I might start filming you on my iPhone and then just like, show it to some casting director and say, check out this guy.
You never know.
He's got the X factor. Thank you so much for having me. That was so much fun.
Yeah, I got to say, this was a really, really fun interview. Thanks for being on my show. Thanks for embodying that orange energy, that driven passion. Check out your podcast, The Heart of the Show Business. And how else can people get a hold of you or find you, Alexia?
Well, they can find me on thealexiamelocchi.com. That's my personal website. And then they can find me on Instagram at LexiBella. And then they can find me on Twitter at Alexia Melocchi. I'm everywhere. Just Google me. I've gotten control of Google. So Google knows me very well.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
SEO queen over here. Great. Well, again, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you. This is my special guest, Alexia Melocchi. She's such an accomplished person. I want to thank her for being on the show today. Everybody, if you have Orange Energy, look her up, find her out there on the web and learn more about her. And for the rest of you, enjoy the show. I hope you had a great time. Have a great day. Enjoy your life and stay inspiring, everybody.